Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Indie Zone. My name is Kathy. In this episode, I am respectfully directing your attention to a filing that the defense submitted on June 9th, 2023. It is their response to the state of Idaho's initial discovery demand and also demand for alibi defense. You will recall that in a prior episode, we discussed the fact that the state of Idaho had served its first demand for discovery upon Mr. Kohberger and had contemporaneously, that is, within the same filing, made a demand that Mr. Kohberger produce his alibi defense. Now, as we said, Mr. Kohberger is under no obligation to put on a defense, to raise an alibi. The Fifth Amendment is crystal clear. It says that he can remain silent. It is beyond question that the evidentiary burden here is on the prosecution to prove every element of all crimes that they have charged Mr. Kohberger with beyond a reasonable doubt. So he could quite literally sit there with his arms folded, as he did when he stood silent when the charges were read against him, and produce no defense, much less an alibi. But what this discovery demand basically said is, if you intend to raise a defense, and if you intend to raise an alibi defense specifically, we request that information in the form of this official discovery demand and demand for alibi. So now we see the defense coming back and responding to, it was 4 separate requests for discovery. One of them, we'll take an example, all books, papers, documents, photographs, tangible objects, or copies of portions thereof which are within the possession, custody, and control of the defendant, in which the defendant intends to introduce in evidence at trial. That is request for production number 1. Mr. Kohberger here does what he does with all 4 of the production requests. He says, quote, Mr. Kohberger's investigation and preparation of his defense is underway. As determinations are made about trial evidence, the same will be timely disclosed. So what does this mean? This means that he is preparing his defense right now. And if and when it becomes determined that he will put on a defense and that he has documents responsive in his possession, custody, and control to this first request for production, he will produce it to you, state of Idaho. Possession, custody, and control. You will see this term come up time and time again. You can't produce what you don't have in your possession. An actual document that you have that may be the smoking gun to your defense. If you don't have it in your possession, if you don't have it in your custody, or if you don't have it under your control, which means, let's say that an agent of yours has that document. You may not possess it. You may not have it in your actual hands, but you can get it because it's in the possession of someone in your control. That's what that term means. So he's saying here that if and when he's deciding to put on a defense, that decision has not been made yet, and there are documents responsive to this discovery request, he will give it to you, state of Idaho, as he is obligated to do. As to the alibi, Mr. Kohberger says in this response, there is another document that's filed today. We refer to that document regarding the alibi defense. So please join us for the next episode of the Indie Zone, where we will go through that second document. Until then, this is Kathy. Thank you for joining us here today.